We gotta have an audit. There, the girls turned us on.
We'll wait till the auditor gets here.
That didn't sound right.
There she comes.
Sorry. It's all right.
Well, yeah.
There was a trend.
I was having a phone call and.
Sorry.
9 o'clock, call this meeting to order. Open with the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounded very harmonious today.
What's that?
That sounded very harmonious today.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us.
We've all had a chance to review the agenda, any additions, corrections, or conflicts of interest.
Looks
If
like a lot
not,
of discussion.
The agenda stands approved as printed. Before we get in to the minutes, I guess I just was going to share something before I forget. And that was that I'm watching a documentary on Abraham Lincoln. And it's really good. But just a note that I found was funny was that in the Lincoln Douglas debates, which were happening in the late 1850s, they said they had up to 10 to 12,000 people would attend those events. There's like today's sporting events. How people could hear, I have no idea. Certainly didn't have microphones and stuff back in the day, so I don't know how that worked. But in one of the debates, there was a guy in the audience that shouted to Lincoln after Lincoln said something. He said, "You're two-faced." And Lincoln said, "If I had two faces, do you think I would be wearing this one?" And just
Excellent comeback.
found that as funny when Lincoln decided to study to become an attorney. He did that all on his own. And the guy that persuaded him to do that was an attorney and had all the old attorney books. And the guy lived 20 miles from Lincoln. And Lincoln used to walk to that guy's house to get a book, walk back, read the book, take the book back to him, grab another book, walk back and forth. 20 miles one way. He would walk
40
Just-
miles for a buck.
40 miles.
That
Tells you the ambition.
tells you a
that
lot
that guy
about
had.
that guy right
But anyway, move on. Move on to reading of the minutes. Terry.
You bet. July 28, 2026, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Craig Dozark, Chair presiding, members present, Schultz, Dozark, Hayden, and Rossberg Mulbauer joined via Zoom. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. The board discussed with Colin Johnson, County Attorney, Karen Colin, Clerk of Court, Ken Call, Crawford County Abstract about the Clerk of Court disposition of files that are currently stored at 38 North Main, previously known as McHenry Miller Abstract. No action was taken at this time. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the treasurer's semi-annual report, January 1, 26 through June 30th, 26. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Hayden, to rescind from the July 7th meeting, setting time, date, and location of a public hearing and publication thereof related to the rezoning of parcels from ag to residential. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the notice of public hearing and publication thereof related to the zoning of parcels from ag to residential. The first hearing, August 11th, 26, second hearing, August 18th, 26, and the third hearing, August 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors room. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the alcohol license applications for Wine Time LLC for Market at the Farm. Motion passed unanimously. The board discussed the dedicated funding for county safety and security. No action taken at this time. Motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rossberg, approving the following resolution 2026-31, transferring funds in the amount of $150,000. I'd read the words, it would help. $150,000 transferred from general basic into capital improvement fund 1524. Voting aye, Schultz, Mulbauer, Dozark, Hayden, and Rossberg. Motion passed unanimously. The board discussed the estimate for curb and grassy area removal and install concrete at the CCCS building. No action taken at this time. The board had a discussion about possible data center ordinance. A couple of citizens expressed their concerns during the discussion. On motion, duly second, the board adjourned at 11:25 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes? None, will stand approved as read. Thank you, Terry. Move on to supervisor reports. Hey,
Yeah, I have some pictures to show you. Once again, praise to our secondary roads. This whole project in Vale. Remember what it looked like swiping?
oh, wow. Wow, that's a lot different.
A lot different. Where they had some big trees.
This is from that bridge?
Yep.
Okay.
Remember all
yeah,
the cement chunks they had in there?
yeah. Wow,
Just,
that's from, remember the standing on
Oh,
that
I
bridge?
do.
I mean, not only do they just get it done in a timely fashion,
Wow.
but when they would get out.
Professionally done.
It's just.
That is, yep, I remember it was a mess.
So I wanted to check that out.
They're done.
They have this equipment excavator or something to get you, but.
You get Hungry Canyons, that was money well spent.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But, no, just always very impressed with what they do. So, and I thought, oh, I better take some pictures. I think it's like, see that.
So now it comes to, what does the county want to do with that property now?
Right, which
We
we
rolled
had,
them
we have a
back.
gentleman that's very, very interested, but like I told him, they would have to be some type of bid or out there at auction.
Let's see.
Definitely.
Do you think we increase the value?
I don't know. I mean, it all depends on what the bidders do. There's kind of that piece in there that I don't know what you would do with it.
What's that called? King Creek there?
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, I guess, why around Vale, that
Family
King
association.
name, King Creek, King Cemetery.
I don't know. I don't know if that King family, I mean, there's King family over by Coon Rapids, but I don't know if there's anything here. But we didn't know we owned the property until.
Right.
Right, we tried to figure out how we obtained the property.
Right.
I don't think we ever found that out, did we?
I don't think so.
Nothing I'm aware of.
I mean, the
You
only
know,
thing I can
Tony-
think of is somebody didn't pay
Didn't pay
taxes.
their
or they
taxes,
got handed
right.
to the county.
That means.
Right, because we used to deed it to the county when it became a county held certificate. We stopped doing that, you know, because we didn't want to own all the ground
Because it's
around the
within the
county.
incorporated area of Vale.
Yeah, yeah, and it could have just been acquired during expansion of Vale over
Or-
time
Or like say
whatever,
unpaid
you know.
taxes in the city of Vale didn't want it. So they're
Right.
like, if the county wants it, they can have it.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah,
Aren't there some Konigs over by Vale?
I don't know.
That's German for king.
There you go.
You gotta remember, they got the King
Things you
Cemetery,
never stop talking
What's
yeah,
about.
they do.
the King Cemetery, so it's all.
Right. That's why I brought that up, to have King Creek and King Cemetery.
Yeah, once you advertise it, you might be
I
surprised.
don't know if that's something we need to put on the agenda, to how to move forward, discuss and take action, probably.
We should.
About it, unless you guys are wanting to keep it, but I don't know why we would.
Kind of probably like how you do when you bid out the county farm, when you used to bid, you know what I mean? I would imagine it'd be a process similar to that. Where they're, yeah, and Colin will probably have some input on a good process, but.
Let's put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
We're
I happen to know-
going there, we better check, make sure he can be here.
I happen to know a really good auctioneer.
There are auctioneers.
Really?
Adequate.
I mean, if you're talking about me, I said, no, you're wrong.
There are a few around here.
There are.
Yeah, something to
You
move
could
forward
ring.
on.
Yeah.
Good time now, it's cleaned up. We said that all along, once we got it cleaned up.
That was the goal, right?
Yep.
Clean it up, sell it.
Yeah, I don't know what the county share, I think Hunger Canyons does it,
Well, you know, we had Hunger Canyon money for it. Foolish not to take care of that, and help make county, whether it's inside a city limit or not.
I think Vail would be very pleased with that being, that it's cleaned up now and it'll be cleaned up for a
Makes their
long time.
community look better.
They'll establish a river walk out of it like San
Well,
Antonio.
that'd be
Oh,
cool.
there you go.
It's short, but.
Most of us don't like to walk too far.
walk it twice.
Otherwise, I am gonna be on the road here this morning. So,
Where you off to?
Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
Another one of our town hall roundtables. Local officials.
So you're working with, like, talking to city and county people across, that's good. Thank you for doing this.
So, yeah, and that's been a good reception. I mean, like us, you know, we want to be heard.
Bring attention to something. We need to get off the menu.
Yes. Well, Paul says that all the time.
We need to get off the menu.
Either at the table or on it.
Yeah.
So I'm headed to Cedar Rapids here this morning.
I've devised a few ways in my head, but I'm not talking about them out loud yet.
Thanks, Dave. Kyle?
Well, conservation board meeting tomorrow night. I imagine we'll be talking about lake restoration project updates.
Has the vandalism thing been an issue that the board has discussed or?
Yeah, I've talked to not the entirety of them, but individuals and they're doing the theft part. And our law enforcement and them are working together to try to bring it to an end, but
Still going on. Have you heard any news?
I camped out there last weekend and my stuff was left alone, so. I imagine I would assume most thieves are target opportunities, if they see something. So, keep a track of your just own stuff as part of stopping the cycle as well. So, military people, if you didn't lock it up, and they got you were responsible for it regardless, so.
Didn't have a lock on your box. You were probably, if you didn't have to do 10 million push-ups, you might be on Article 15.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to be that way when you're camping, but,
I'll agree,
it is the world we live in now,
unfortunately.
unfortunately. But like I said, they're working on it. They've got cameras and stuff in place.
That's what I
If you never get them to drive in front of the camera though,
Can you put a camera at the gate?
I'm not exactly sure where they all are at.
Okay.
But I would assume they would have one where there's only one place for vehicles
To enter.
And exit,
Yeah.
so if you stole something,
So.
I don't know.
and
It is
I-
unfortunate.
Quality or.
But they can walk in from a lot of areas,
They can.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't carry
You can
much.
drive a golf cart right up to the campground from anywhere, so.
Yeah,
So it's not just a one way in, one way out of that place. It's probably part of the challenge. so.
Few trail cams. You don't want to have cameras in the campground, really you don't.
No,
But, at the entrances, most of the time, people that are stealing aren't from the, rocket science community, right? I mean, most of the time, a few of them might be, but, so I mean, you can, thing is Roger's team and Trejo's team probably have some ideas on how to, and so if our conservation's working in concert with them, how to, that's their wheel. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
I know how to do surveillance and reconnaissance. But mine's a little more brutal than what law enforcement doing.
for a minute, I thought that sounded like a volunteer.
No, you don't want me volunteering. That's illegal out in this world.
We'll need to catch them.
some inquiries about data centers, same stuff as we hear, it's the amount of water and electrical rates won't go down type stuff, which I don't know what you look at. Argue both sides. But, anyway, there's a lot of bad information regarding data centers out there. In my eyes, that's old technology that, but as a board, I think we're on the right steps, you know, looking out for.
By not having an ordinance is irresponsible because there's no rules or regulations. So I think the more we work on getting a good ordinance out there is the answer to all of the questions that people have. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
and
the-
listening to them, you know, it
Yeah,
helps spur other
right,
thought
right.
processes that, yeah.
But I think it's also, we're doing the right thing by bringing in DMU and WIPCO and, you know, our
Absolutely.
utility providers and getting their input as well.
But we're
Yeah.
getting so much information from other counties and other studies that have been done, just a barrage of information that almost complicates things a little bit more. Somebody wondered if we could have it in the ordinance to say they have to provide their own energy, that, you know, not use any of ours, but I don't know how we would do that, so. this is
Well,
a
that
question.
might, I'm sure it's possible, you know, many nuclear reactors are. So then, so that's the other end of that, yeah, they probably can.
Right, because that's the
But
biggest
is-
concern.
Do our citizens want that?
So why would DMU or WIPCO want to have a data center then if they
I,
can't use their energy?
Right.
that was just a question
Right.
that was
I think
thrown
their
out
concern
there.
is that the energy that's available now will be
Right.
consumed by them and
Right.
will be running through brownouts and stuff like
Right.
that. But yes,
Correct, and
which is,
It's a legitimate concern.
it is.
very legitimate, and I think that, you know, I think there was a conversation, Stephanie's on, that if we filled up, you know, I know nothing about electricity and the grid and all that, I'm learning as we go, but if they're using more, that it could possibly lower ours. Does anybody remember that conversation?
Yeah, I don't know if it'd lower, but it would maybe withstand the test of time of not increasing.
That's something that is foreign to anybody, you know, wind turbines, we have those all over. Haven't seen anything. Solar panels, has anybody seen their electric bill go down?
No.
Okay, so that's just a little, that is an ongoing conversation, and I'm glad that people are involved and interested in sending emails and telephone calls and stopping you know, and put it and expressing their concerns. And I think the biggest concern is the only reason we want them is for tax revenue, you know, and
Yes.
that the answer is yes, and that's a pretty good reason for wanting them.
No,
No?
that is an element, but just quit focusing on that.
Okay, I just,
That's, if somebody says that, say, how about the data lines that it brings in? That brings in other industry, that does create the jobs. We live in an environment right now in Crawford County where we can't supply our employers with enough people. And people are gonna complain about an industry that will step in here and don't gobble up and hardly any people, but will bring in a lot of revenue for the taxpayers. But it will also bring in them trunk lines and different things like that. So this is a lot bigger picture than just county getting money. I mean,
I get
we
it.
need money.
That's why we bring it.
That's how roads get built. That's how services, all these things that we're gonna have to be talking about in January are cutting just to make budget work. We've got to find ways to not have to cut all that stuff. I don't know if you've seen this, but I sent it over to Louise yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. We are ranked like third worst, or at least in the bottom three on people that are afraid of where they're gonna get their next meal in Crawford County.
That's statewide, that's just Crawford.
They named the three worst
The
counties,
three worst
and
counties.
Crawford was one of the three.
And so these are things that we actually, nobody else thinks that we're thinking about. We're thinking about all kinds of stuff. I got a study right here.
Can I ask-
Nobody sent. Go ahead.
Whose study was?
We
that?
don't, that's the whole thing, Gina. I don't know.
We don't, we're trying to research it. That's why I
Okay, so
sent it to
that's-
Louise, because I want to know from TAP, Hunger Fighters. We've got all kinds of things going on out there, you know, that we're trying to solve these riddles.
I don't,
They are riddles. We don't know what, we don't even know where it
just
came
being
from.
on the,
Okay, that,
previously on the school board, you know, it's over 60, probably close to 70%.
Free reduced
now,
lunches.
Free
Yeah.
reduced
Yeah.
lunches.
I mean, there's things that are happening around here to try to fight that, but and so we're trying to check out that study. So that's my point, is we got a lot of things we gotta worry about. Would this help provide some revenue? Sure it will. And if we actually make and can find a data center person to come in here, and that's why, to me, it's imperative that this board has the final say, because we need to negotiate good deals for this county.
Right.
That's our job. Please let us do our job. You know, we've got business minds at this table, finance minds at this table, we've got farm minds at this, we've got everybody that represents this county sits at this table. Or I shouldn't say everybody, but everybody that sits at this table does a good job of overall representing this county. There, got my words straight.
There we go.
So, I mean, let us do our job. Please watchdog us. I mean, there's ideas that have came in here since we've started talking about this that we're running with now. This study here, I stumbled across, nobody sent it to me, but here's a brand new study that it just popped across my screen yesterday, day before. New study confirms what we've been saying. Data centers are lowering electric bills.
Really?
Now, I said it the other day. Now, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'm gonna ask Stephanie to come in here and give one of her little classes, because it's hard to wrap your mind around how our system in Iowa works. And I'm gonna tell you, even when she's explaining it, you're gonna scratch your head and say, what did she just say? Because it's complicated
It is.
on how they buy their power and the way that their areas of responsibility are mapped out. It makes California's voting districts, or, you know, it makes that look, I mean, it looks like a little amoebas floating around across the state. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, but Steph actually explained it, that we've got plenty of electricity in America. It's just getting it to the people at times. We don't have the grid for it. Well, these people are coming in and paying for their own grid, the data centers. So they're probably adding to it. You see what I'm saying? And then they're bringing in bigger lines because they do require more power. Actually, not more. They're probably not, I don't know, you know, it depends on what kind of a data center you're getting. But I mean, I need to let her explain. I don't want to get it all, you know, confused and messed up. But I mean, we do need to have a little class for the five of us on this to help us decide when we're talking to stuff, or when we're talking to people. If we talk to people. I mean, we're still just trying to be prepared, because this is an international issue. This isn't just state, it ain't local, it ain't just state, it ain't just US.
Do you want the data centers in China and Russia, or do you want
Or, you know, and they're gonna
controlling that
evolve,
data?
they're gonna evolve into space. Elon's already said it. I mean, but do we want to find some benefit in them? Why they're providing benefit for us? I pulled this up. What data center do you suppose that came on? You know, I mean, everything that we're doing anymore requires data centers, everything.
I mean, I will say that over the weekend, I talked to my nephew who we had here, and he just said, Craig, he said, moving forward, he said to me, the data centers, the two biggest things that they're looking at right now is alternative sources of energy and how can we be a part of the community. We want to be a part of the community. So he said, you can solve those two issues. That's what they're focused on right now.
And I think you can negotiate good partnerships, and that's going to be our responsibility. We're going to have to work hard at that. We're going to have to do our research. We got a hell of a research team here. I mean, Gene and Craig and Kyle's taking a whole new life on what he's doing over there.
AI.
By the way, good job on the vehicle thing. I mean, it's what all the stuff that we're doing is what we're supposed to be doing. And I think we're going to be fine. And we're going to build a good ordinance. That's our objective right now. We're going to go to build a really good permitting system. And these things are going to protect Crawford County. Are they flawless? What is? Right. I mean, there's one guy who walked this earth that was flawless, right? And the rest of us are doing the best we can.
To your point though, we are so much better off coming up with that fair deal right here.
Yeah.
Than we are dictated or being told what our fair deal is gonna be.
Ding, ding, ding.
Kyle, do you have anything else?
I will yield my time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gene?
Unfortunately.
Let's get discussion.
I'll pick up its time on the data centers subject, because there really are some different truths out there. I think it's this board that really needs to tangle them. But just when I feel like we have a better understanding, something new kind of comes across. I don't know how people know I'm thinking about it, but all of a sudden it just jumps out. It's scary. It's scary. But so as we look through what we have so far, and we're gonna discuss that later on, I do feel that we check every box of the concerns that other counties, which we had that long chain of emails, I think it was Johnson County possibly. So I think we've done by not having an ordinance is the biggest mistake. And I don't think a moratorium is the answer either. So when we get down there to discussing it, I believe we've done our job in researching and trying to hit every checklist on the ordinance that we have. I think we've done a good job. That being said, little gravel road talk came up this week, just kind of gravel roads. And so, and I'll talk to Ben when he gets here too. A suggestion was made that maybe Caterpillar needs to come back out and train our new drivers. And I said we would certainly talk about that. Somebody that's lived on a gravel road forever and just feels like the way that they're doing it is not exactly right. He just feels like it was a thought that Caterpillar maybe should come back in and retrain the newer drivers, because the older drivers, when they left, maybe didn't take the time. Usually when you start a new job, the person who had it kind of gives you the ropes on it, and they feel like maybe they didn't get those ropes. Not sure. And then it's the same problem that we have all over the county. If you're an elected official, you take over and nobody kind of gave you the ropes on what they learned over the years that they had the job. So maybe we can see a way to fix that.
I mean, in the last 2 years, there has been a lot of knowledge left or secondary roads, as we had 30 and 40 and 50-year employees that retired.
Did we bring in that guy from Nebraska that helped with?
We did, but I don't know how well that was received by the employees.
And I think until you've done a job for a while, first they can train you day one, and then you get out there and do it, and the person who trained you is not there anymore, and you're just doing the best you can. And really and truly, when someone approaches it as maybe a way to fix the problem rather than just talk about the problem, you want to be receptive to that and say, maybe it is time that there's a little on-the-job training by a trainer, and so I just thought I'd bring that.
Is that who usually did the training, since you're a county employee? Did they have people like Caterpillar that would come out and do the training? Or does it seem
Didn't we
like?
hire some guy from Nebraska?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think he was retired.
And how much training do you think those 40 and 50 and 30-year employees have when they start?
Well,
Or do they learn it all themselves?
that's part of it. I'm not sticking up for them. I'm not sticking up for the public. I mean, just if you've never run a motor grader or anything, there's so many different things you can do with them. So to learn all that in a 12-hour session is going to be impossible.
Because it seems like even talking
Over
to
time, you figure things out.
right, talking to the motor graders that we have, is they all kind of have a little bit of a different philosophy
Correct.
on how they want to do their roads.
It's an art.
And- Right, exactly. It's an art form. And so no two art is identical. So they kind of do it all their own way.
May I add
Is
to
that
that?
accurate, you think, to
I
say?
think that's very correct, because Paul always said we had 12 motor graders and 12 different motor grader operators.
And not all gravel roads are the same either.
No.
You've got gravel roads.
Certainly more well-traveled than others.
Yeah, right, and some of them have just some different,
Yeah, just the
hills and
geography of
curves
each
and, on the gravel road I lived on for many, many years, you knew exactly where that soft spot was gonna be, you just knew it, and, I think the difference was we just accepted it.
As a board, I mean, I think if you was to truly look at it as a whole, and what money would we have to spend to reshape our roads, clean our ditches to get the road to shape the way textbook says it's supposed to be? I don't know if we're willing to go down that path. I mean, if you have your 2% ground on each side of the road, and you got the ditches that slope away from the road.
Oh, we've made huge
We try.
improvements in the extra white rock we use in the spring of the year to touch up those soft spots that we especially fun for. all the grading projects that have improved our level Bs or, we've done a lot of improvements as well.
Yeah.
We can talk to them about getting a trainer in. I'm not training ever hurts. If they pick
Right.
up one thing out of that, that makes.
One thing.
What makes them think about something different?
Right.
And I guess I appreciated the approach of not just the, we'll call it complaint, but just maybe a way to fix it, maybe what they see on a daily on their road.
Mhm.
And it's different than the way it was with the old guy, was doing it. It seems to be making it worse, not better. That maybe, and nobody wants to.
Yep, but maybe a new guy is like, I need to get this road from where it was to this way.
Yeah.
That's how I wanna, that's
Yeah,
how, and then
So,
it'll be fun.
I
It's
said
gonna
I would
take a
bring it up.
process to do it.
Right.
my job was to bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
no,
Anything else, Chief?
Actually, Tuesday went really fast this week. It's like I had to write down tomorrow's Tuesday. It's like, but yeah, and still things going on with early childhood, that those pieces are coming together, trying to get the fiscal agents and the agents of employee of records work was not as easy as they thought it was going to be with the transition of vacation times and insurance and all of the different moving parts to that. Have had a few hiccups, but once again, I do believe we have all the right people trying to work it out, and hopefully, we hope that what the local people have deemed as best, that at some point in time the state doesn't say, nope, that's not how we're doing it. So we work to hope that we're working in the right direction and that it doesn't get changed at the last minute and it goes back to square one. So little things like that, but otherwise just reading through some of these things we have on the agenda, have taken some time with research and making sure we've got everything there. So I yield my time.
Time.
There we go. Want to leave you at least 15 minutes time.
Yeah, I obviously didn't speak about anything from my trip.
Right.
Data centers was a big part of the trip, and I mean, they consumed our networking time. I mean, really, that was a large part of the discussion. When we go to, like, where we got together as a states and stuff, people think, what are you guys doing with data center? I mean, everybody would bring it up. So, I mean, this is an all over deal, but it's helpful because we're learning all the pluses and minuses and pitfalls. Loudoun County, Virginia, I brought them up 1,000 times, I'm sure.
I mean, Loudoun County is in a 30-mile radius, they have 434 data centers.
Yeah, they
That's the
have,
size of this county, basically.
and yeah, and obviously that's not something we're trying to achieve.
Right.
But they actually have tax revenues of $1.4 billion annually. So can you do stuff with that? Yeah, they're doing a lot with that. Now, they're also a very big housing area for government officials and lobbyists. And I mean, Dulles Airport's in their area. They're getting a new airport. We're just going to remodel that sucker. I mean, it's obviously Trump was just talking about that out of the transportation stuff. That's going to be part of the infrastructure bill, I think. There's a lot going on. But that's the thing, is the development that it can spur. I mean, that's what we got to keep in mind. But I don't know. I can speak for myself, but I think I can speak for the other four in this. Obviously, our priority is the safety and welfare of the people of this town. Period. So that's going to always be our first asset, or our first. Well, they are our first asset too, but I mean, that's going to be our first focus. Yes, thanks, Kyle. Anyway, going back to the conference, our ag committee, steering committee, we had some great deals. There was directors, and they wanted to try to get us all, get every director from every state there, but it was kind of hard to pull off. They didn't want to spend all the USDA's money flying everybody to New Orleans. But Mike Sexton's our state director, works for the federal government, but he's our state director. He was from Sac, up here in the Sac County area. I don't know what district it is anyway, but he'd been the representative up there, and then I haven't really sat down and talked much with him. I'd like to. probably will make it a point to do that in the future. But they actually had a little group, they sat down, a little forum, and talked about a lot of programs, just different housing development stuff. I mean, there's housing programs out there that really, I mean, up to like $320,000 that people can get to build a home. How do you get a hold of all these? That's why I said I want to sit down with him here pretty soon, because she obviously, when it was the director from Colorado, she was the one that was doing most of the talking. Very, very, very sharp lady. Stood up there and talked about all this stuff without any notes in front of her. So, I mean, and most of them you talk to were like that. So, I mean, we've got some good directors out across the country. They were very insightful. She talked about working on things for affordable housing and stuff like that. We do have programs out there currently in that, and there's some people even use them in Charter Oak recently.
I would think that they would be directly in contact with Rick and Chris at Region
Yeah,
12.
I'm sure they would be.
Because I mean, Region 12 is very aggressive on the housing things they do. I sure hope that they would.
Yeah, and I mean, there's things that are probably best work through Region 12 because they've got a good understanding to begin with. But I'm just bringing up the stuff that's out there. I mean, I've never heard anybody but talk about this big, basically a grant/loan guarantee that could be available for low-income people. I mean, are you going to need a $324,000 loan in Crawford County? Well, not very often, but that just tells you what kind of funds are out there. I mean, you get in them high cost cities and stuff. New $324,000 is not building much in New York City, but these are very helpful out here, and that's where we're trying to help people, right? That's why it's called the rural development, not the city development.
And I think we could have Tammy come join us or be on Zoom to fill in the gap on because just last week I kind of brought up that there are some things out there that they'd like to bring forward that would take some match from the county.
Mhm.
So we could probably do that.
Yeah, we can afford and what we can't, we gotta evaluate, business and economic development, I mean, there's different things they were talking about. Once again, it gets in, there's some grants out there, but there's the loan guarantees, things like that, I mean, so we got to figure out what we want to do on business development. Mariah.
Did they talk there, when they talk about the business development, did they bring up, it seems like when I do some reading in the NACO stuff, is that there's more and more counties that are stepping up, taking taxpayer funds and directly, instead of going to Region 12 or going to another entity, they're going to the county, and the county's providing that. And just was curious if you had discussions with other counties that were doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm gonna say, go ahead, Gene.
Well, I'll add it whenever. What is really interesting is they like to do a partnership. They really like it when Region 12, the county, and USDA use their money to make a project happen. Partnerships is what they used to preach about when I would go to the USDA meetings. So, and that's where I think county would be willing to come in and talk about, because there is a program out there, like Ty was saying.
Anyway, so we had pretty good instruction or information dissemination from the USDA people that were there, and then they actually stayed there through the entire conference, and you'd see people talking to them in the corridors, and so I mean, it was really, the USDA is really reaching out. I mean, they're getting put on, get out here and get to develop in our rural America. And so that's good news. I mean, we got some access to that right now. The affordable housing, the subsidized housing stuff, blah, blah, blah. We kind of went over that pretty depth. But I think that we can do more if we have the time to get after it ourselves. We can rely on Region 12 for everything, but there's a lot of other counties that are competing for their attention too.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that we see that we can do, we know we need industrial parks, we need site-ready spots. I mean, that don't mean we have to go out and send the bulldozers out there and level off the top of an iron hill. I mean, but we've got to start looking at things, that we can work with the cities, to start helping accommodate that, you know. And I know you guys got a big spot down by Manila. Maybe you gotta do more to help advertise that. What, just different things that we need to be doing, you know, to help our communities. And then if we do it out on our county, you know.
So you need to get that corridor that we talked about,
You bet. Exactly.
you know, done.
Opportunity corridors, you bet. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, they kept bringing up: business and industry guarantees, rural business development grants. You know, I mean, there's stuff out there. We just gotta go sit down and talk with these people. I mean, waiting for somebody else to bring us the information, we may not be top of the list. So, I mean, there were some of the things that I was sitting there thinking as they're talking. We need to maybe be a little more aggressive with that.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, please.
It's been my experience that some of those grants aren't easy because of all the hoops that you have to jump through and all of the, you know, you have to be this medium income, these qualifications and this certain credit, you know, that was way back years ago. I don't know if they made that process simpler to.
Highly unlikely.
Highly,
You know, over the years.
does not get simple.
With different programs that we had thought, and I think one of them was when we built Imagination Station, just as a, we thought about using the USDA to help us with that. And by the time, you know, we paid the fees and all of that we had to go through, it was easier to just get bonds from a bank locally and get it done. So I don't know if they simplified it. But the thing with USDA and Region 12, if we don't use the money that they are given, that goes away. So these employees are aggressive at wanting to make sure that everybody knows about the programs so that they're using them so that they are viable and get to keep their jobs. Because if we're not using what's out there, it may go away. And I think that's why they have jumped up and said, come on, you guys, use our programs. They're out here for us to use. So I reject that only because I used to use them. They were.
Anyway, the other things that we were talking about, are rural hospitals were obviously a big topic, and EMS stuff. It means that's nationwide. I think just here that we're talking about that stuff, it's nationwide. We should feel fortunate that we've got a hospital that's actually fluid. You know, we're very good at it. When I brag about that, they all look at me like they'd like to choke me, so I cut it short. Well, we're also needing to consider EMS as essential service, you know. So in any event, so we aren't flawless. You know, and life isn't perfect here, but we're better off than a lot of rural counties. And then you talk to some of them, when you get out west, some of them rural counties, you start feeling bad. You even said something, you know, you got something good, because they're really some stressing out there across.
It's a 3-hour drive to get to us.
Yeah, or further, yeah. But then we also talked about fertilizer stuff. They got into the fertilizer program. Secretary Rollins is working hard on that. That's really federal government. You know, we don't hear about it on the news because it isn't real dramatic. But you know, our agencies are out there really working hard to help with these issues. I mean, we want to start doing more. We're producing more of our fertilizer and getting our, you know, potashes and everything right in this continent. Working with our Canadian friends and our Mexican friends and you know, working hard to get that kind of stuff. And you know, I actually was talking about even more. You know, I don't think we use the rivers hard enough for the right shipping things in, like if from Mexico or the top part of Central America. You know, I mean, but what can we do with our neighbors now, especially since we've maybe kindled a new friendship with Venezuela and places like that? You know, I mean, that were some of the things we were actually discussing. So, I mean, so there was a, go ahead, John.
Do they ever talk about, and maybe I'm just really out there, every time the fertilizer prices, I mean, we need to do more local of that, but yet there's no competition. So it just gets bought up by the locals, the few locals we have, and then they control the price. And I'm pretty sure
That's a great
I'd
point.
like to dig in to see if they're actually lobbying in Washington DC to provide subsidy checks to the farmers. As soon as them are announced, fertilizer prices usually follow a sharp uptick.
Well, Kyle, we talked about in the past that fertilizer plant in southeast Iowa that used state money to get built, and then it got sold out.
Right.
Yeah, one of the big conglomerates probably bought it.
Well, I mean, ethanol plants were the same way. Great theory, started locally. They're all, I'm not gonna say all, but big oil owns most all the ethanol plant stuff, so. So what? We built them so we could get away from being strangled by big oil companies.
Well, that's kind of the way the whole system.
How does the ag side,
Like,
mix
some
them?
good answers for that. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff actually did get brought up,
Okay.
about how big companies will buy out things and then they basically can control the prices. It
ain't there laws on the book supposed to stop monopolies?
Well, yeah, but we don't have Theodore Roosevelt around to enforce it, so that's why he's my favorite. That guy had gumption. Don't win a medal of honor by accident.
I'm
He
pretty
got
sure.
gumption, you know?
I wonder what the average length of term of a senator and that was back in them days. 40-some years.
That's a good question. That is
Maybe he
excellent.
had more power because of
The turnover.
the
Yeah.
turnover. I don't know.
People went, did their job and went
I
back
actually
home.
had some good discussions on how to fix them problems too, having senators that, I don't know if we did ourselves any favors by making that a populist position. It should have probably still remained with states, the state legislature.
That'll never go back.
I know it, because for reasons we won't discuss.
Where's the
That's
money
too
at?
political.
Advertising.
Todd, don't you think it'd make a
TV and
difference if they
radio
asked
just
us to be one of us?
ceased
That there's the money in.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to pass these around?
There's an energy symposium. I brought some extras for you guys. There's an energy symposium fixing to come up.
Figured you
It's
wanted-
down in Amarillo in September. I mean, I'm thinking about going. And I don't think that it's got a fee involved with the, like most of the time when we have a
This is one you
conference.
talked about, maybe on your semi.
Yeah, I go down there with my truck. Yeah, but I mean, and I'm just starting to touch the tip of the iceberg on what happens at this conference. I mean, you guys could give me all day on Tuesday and we'd still be talking this evening, I mean, there's so much goes on.
You didn't.
Pull the plug. I want this.
But I want to get the bin here. I mean, there was a lot going on because the transportation infrastructure bill's going on, and some of that obviously involves rural America. Our transportation task force, or our transportation steering committee is working hard with them. They've got actually some things put in on behalf of counties. I want you to know, there's a lot that's going into this farm bill. I should say a lot. There's certain things in this farm bill that actually got interjected because of NACO. Got put in there.
Good things,
What's that?
good things.
Good thing, yeah, like that planner thing that we're doing. I mean, they're still trying to get that in there maybe, because that's in the standalone at this point. The site selector, or that's like the planners / grant writers, that kind of stuff that help rural. There's a real, we don't have as much voice at NACO because the big cities show up. We're actually talking about different things to control how that vote works, more like an electoral college instead of that pure democracy thing. Because then it takes, I mean, California likes to brag about it, even in the back rooms down there, that they can control who gets to be the next second vice president. Just, we show up with 21 votes. They show up with 324. So they work with one of the other big states, and they can basically dictate who's going to be the next second vice, which will end up being our president in 2 years. That's not the way this should work. I mean, basically, it just drowns us out. We're just there for show, I guess. But we do make a lot of impact. I mean, because we did have our chair last year was from California, very good chair, in fact. So, I mean, they make very good contributions to agriculture and to all the other aspects.
So that helps.
Yeah, but I mean, when they can do that and seem to be giddy about it, so we need to address that. And some of us are. I'm a noisemaker, but I think that I need to hand this to Ben. You want me to talk more at some other point? You're welcome to come up. I'll pass these things around like always.
We'll move on to Ben.
We can reconvene tomorrow morning at 8 AM if you want.
Do it in my truck.
I have
See
a
how
meeting at
many-
see how
10
many
tomorrow.
shows up.
Okay, so there you
go.
I mean, there's stuff. There was a lot going on this time.
That one was interesting on the bottom.
Welcome, Ben.
My county word.
You can talk as much as you want. I don't have a whole lot this morning, but well, start off with
project over there on Elfish one, all the overlay is on, the shouldering is done, I think they've shaped up into most of the properties, the lane entrances and side roads, got that shaped up, but we'll assess them, you know, if we need to do a little more. We're allowing it to, we're gonna give it a couple weeks of time to cure this asphalt before we do the rumble striping. It's kind of a recommendation of the contractor. It's something to do a lot of, giving the pavement plenty of time to otherwise harden over the next couple of weeks, cure, hopefully reduce some of the possible edge rattling and you know, edge breakage from when we do these rumble strips on the edges in particular. Just under the recommendation, we painted the center line markings on the road because you know it is going to see some traffic on it. They're temporary center lines, so did want those on there, but they will come back in a couple weeks. Grind the edge rumbles, the rumble panels, and then and the center line rumbles where we have those, and then we'll paint permanent edge lines and center lines.
Are the rumble strips, are they dictated or something you have to do?
Pardon?
Are they something you have to do? Is that required or requirement?
The rumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of our safety funding money.
So because of the funding, where it came from, we're required to put those in.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So edge line rumbles just off in through the curves and through the north part. We're going into Charter Road. We're not doing that on South Fork. I know you got a question on that, but yeah, the whole project will have center line.
If we did it on the bottom, it would have narrowed up the lanes again, and then.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's what I call Ben about. I thought, and then you'd have to be out there so close to the edge. How long before it starts breaking up that edge because the trucks and the tractors and the fall, you know. And so, yeah.
So, and that was where we got the safety money from, was it first
The top
7 miles?
part.
First 7
From
miles.
basically Stanley's up to.
Yeah.
Tom Staley's up to Charter Road.
So right or wrong, we're gonna give it that period of time.
I think that's a smart
product to the end. So.
Was the contractor, is that who recommended that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got plenty of working days, which I don't believe we're charging a working day, it's just the waiting time because it's under our decision. If we want to grind them, you know, this week, they will, but they're recommending allowing it to cure, we can accommodate that, so it'll make a better product.
Okay.
So that's where that's at. Our great crew, they're working on P Avenue. They'll probably be there for a little while yet, doing 110th and 130th Street, but sure it'd be nice to have a little bit of moisture over there to help roll that in, but I think they're doing a pretty good job getting it rolled in.
Maybe today. So,
yeah.
well, that dirt, though, you also have to be careful with too much moisture. The road's so easy until it settles back out.
Yeah. But like I said, we'll have some check downs.
Nice slow soak.
Help it a little bit, yeah. We'll sprinkle some of our aggregate out on it after the project's complete, help control on the road top, and try and keep the erosion at bay a little bit there too, so. Do our best. Bridge crew, they're working on the 3-span bridge up there. They're just finishing up over on the Bale Weir here. We're gonna seed that down and they're picking up some matting. So if we do get a rain, it wash that loose soil pretty bad. So we're gonna put some matting down, seed down, and try and hold them banks until it gets some seeding established.
That's good. Check it out. Show these guys some pictures of it.
Yeah.
Looks real nice.
I think so. It cleaned it up.
Is that the first time we're gonna be using the new hydro seeder, or they're already?
Oh, they were using that day after we got. But we have made use of the old one here for a little bit. We're doing a little bit of adjustments on the new one, just modifying, widening out a gate so we can get a pallet on a few little things that we're adjusting on it to make it more.
This new toy.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get something to do, they figure out the little quirks to it, that they want to fix to make it more easily usable. So we got a couple little things that we're doing too. So they have made use of the old hydro seeder for a little while yet. So, but no, I think they do like it. So, the old one, we're kind of exploring where might explore that purple wave option again for maybe as an outlet for that. I don't see a lot of folks around here wanting a hydro seeder, possibly down at the auction house. We're trying to find the best outlet on how to, find a home for the municipality. So,
You know, since you can do it, because even down at Dennis and Livestock, they do online now, don't they?
Yeah, I think most of that.
We're doing some online.
Like when they do their machinery one,
Mhm.
so you never know.
Never know.
Yeah,
But
nice,
we're just
right?
exploring.
Yeah, we've got several little startup companies, ones that I know that Hydro sees a lot of on there, so may not seem like there'd be a demand for it, but that purple wave just really left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, the one time, yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I hate to base all of our experience with a company based on one.
We use
deal,
Purple
but-
Wave all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You get a lot more for that on Purple Wave. I don't know what your experience was. We buy and sell on Purple Wave.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything on Purple Wave, right? There's no commission to the seller if you're a government entity.
I have,
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure.
We use it all the time.
We seem to have lost a considerable amount the one time we tried it, so.
Yeah, I hate to base it all off of one experience.
Well, this is
Only
a smaller
experience, but-
product, yeah.
give them one more shot, I guess.
I know.
Anyway, like I said, the hydromotor, I might be a little bit of a tough market, but we'll find a home for it. Let's see, but yeah, they are out seeding, spraying. They'll start mowing around that Labor Day weekend, ahead of Labor Day, and then they'll mow up until everything's mowed or until the snow flies. So, but Verdine, sometimes when the snow's flying. But
Don't hurt.
he wants to make sure they ain't drifting behind that tall grass, so I ain't gonna stop. So, we are looking at obtaining some pricing for a new international single axle plow truck, something that we had budgeted for the 2027 fiscal year. Just now getting to where we're looking at some pricing on it. We've kind of gone with international trucks for our single axle trucks. Just the maneuverability, the guys seem to like them better than some of the other.
Have we ever tested any of the others? I've never seen our county use anything.
We've had Chevy.
I think they do.
Internationals, the service, I think, and
I mean, there's a closer dealership.
yeah.
Material.
And like the Mac, they certainly will. We can jump in one and see how we like them, and they will probably sell us one. But we're just kind of sticking with what I know the guys and kind of taken to in that regard. And all the prices, really, it might be a little bit lower than the last time we priced a single axle. So
When did we buy that last one? It seemed like it was just like 2 years ago, but it's been longer than that.
it's been longer than that.
Well, I'm sure it has been. We're talking about getting a new one, but
I guess I didn't look what year it was, but
I'm just curious.
because I was just looking at pricing. Anyway, we're looking into pricings on some trucks. Yeah, we'll look into Max and other trucks as well. But, just kind of going off of what the guys are
You
used
say
to.
we're all like pricing, if you're not buying it.
Familiar with
just
setup.
Price and check everybody out.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously maintenance, easy to get parts, all that stuff's gonna matter, but I mean, who knows what your pricing is? I mean, I don't know. You see a lot of little Freightliners in counties out across America, and I'm out driving around, I see little Freightliner single axles and just different ones. I just, we have to limit ourselves to just international. Now, international's always been a sturdy work truck. Ford used to be, and I think the old Ford Louisville plant is where they're building them little Freightliners now, so. I'm just throwing something out there.
Yeah. I'm open.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like you said, maneuverability, I don't know, little single axles, turning radius. Probably varies from truck to truck to some degree, but I don't know, money's money. What's your budget?
Will do. We did get our fleet tracking and camera systems installed in at least a couple of vehicles that we're doing a trial period on. We're doing the three systems, the three units that we're doing some tracking on, and we did get that set up yesterday. I think you're familiar with Motive, you were saying, and so we haven't really had a chance to really look at the interface. We just got accounts set up and user profiles and whatnot, but just from the little bit I've seen, a little demonstration that that we did yesterday with the folks from Motive. Liking what I see, you know, at least I got to play around with it a little bit and see how to go back and actually see, you know, kind of the swath or the path I was taking on whatever days. But, you know, we're going to be playing with that for the next 30 days, our trial period on that, and see how we like it and see if it's how we want to go. But particularly on our, like I said, motor graders, our plow trucks, our single axles, our semi trucks, it's really not something I would put on every piece of equipment that we've got. You know, I don't, it just doesn't merit it on some of our equipment. But one thing I want to kind of reiterate with this company is we'd like to be able to still have that database of our equipment, regardless of whether we're doing the tracking, the fuel use, you know, whether it's plugged in, have a unit plugged into it, have the ability to have a database for our other equipment too, because this really would take the place of our iWorks program that we just, personally, I haven't been happy with. You know, it's mainly a database that we can manually enter in fuel usages. It just hasn't been what we hoped to. So,
Is there a way that we as board of supervisors could actually see how that works? Could you bring it to a meeting, or would we need to work? How do you track it? It's not like the computer. I don't really understand the whole system.
It's on the computer. We have
Bring a
set up
laptop.
as users, and there's a dashboard that, you know, you can put your vehicles, see the swab that it has traveled that day.
Could you bring it up and show it to us while you're in the trial?
I imagine we get it set up in here
Everybody
somehow.
else know how?
Maybe a little more familiar with how to navigate around it.
At
but
some point in time, it'd be interesting even for the general public to see the change and how that works, so we know what we're paying for a little bit. Otherwise I could come down and see it in your office, but I think something, we'd all be interested in you guys.
Absolutely.
Once you get it all
Yeah,
figured out.
let's take a look at it. Like I said, I'm not overly familiar with it right now. I think it's kind of navigating around the interface myself. But yeah, it really is to take place of the iWorks program we got. It'll automatically keep track of fuel usage and things like that we can run more meaningful reports than we have in the iWorks program. It's got the camera system so replace the cameras that we are running. And it does have a lot of AI capabilities for alerts, you know, crash detection alerts, hard braking, and things of that nature. It's much as or as little as you want to use of it, but it's got a lot of features that I've been through.
I'd be curious to see it.
Sure. Good. But like I said, we've got a 30-day trial on that. We're gonna really.
We have more. It's amazing. It is amazing. And I would go with the AI technology. You'll find out your drivers are more safe. It gives you time. It's got a similar to heart rate, wandering. It is, I can't get on it, it drives me crazy, but four people in the office can. It can track back, so if you had somebody say, yeah, I've been on my gravel road, show them when that motor grader was on that gravel road, but the camera will get you out of a lot of things that you knocked over the mailbox.
Yeah.
I think that was the intent of it. That's like I said, we got our coloring books.
Yeah.
and it would definitely take the place of that, and something a little more outdated in that regard.
I see more public
I'd like to
reach
see
out and want this. They want to see that. They want that data. They want to know. Last meeting day.
So we do have to move into the 21st century, so.
Right.
at some point.
It's good for your work on it. Cameras rolling.
Great.
We currently do have cameras, you know, for capturing instances of
Say
a little more up to date.
That I need to talk about. That's pretty cool, that thing I picked up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. The only other thing I got is next week they'll do the fall application of dust control. Just kind of make sure of that. There'll be 5 companies still doing the applications. But we'll have the site shaped up at the end of the week here, and hopefully that all gets put down next week, but they got 2-week application period, but that you'll see that all going down. So that one shaped up. Hunger Canyon's meeting it will be August 28th. I don't know if that's something you're looking at, but it's right here in Denison, at the.
I had already
shooting
emailed
range there.
Paul and told him that I would like to do the tour of the different house. And I think I was informed yesterday from my wife that I may not be here.
I've never been in the house. I think
Boss
I'll check that out too.
That's what happens when you try to do stuff on your own.
Christmas
Official
time at
Ozark
McHenry
director.
House, you have missed that.
I've heard of that.
Oh, my goodness.
It's gotta be an evil place. So,
Oh, my
yeah, I think I'll take that
Been a few
in.
years.
They're gonna give it to her.
I like
So
all that.
every year.
Okay.
I love it.
You got to do that or embarrass yourself with my shooting skills.
Right.
So, but that's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Ben? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ben.
I think Zach is in the auditor's office. There he is. Zach, we have on next on the agenda is a T mobile lease on the courthouse hour.
Busy for 5 days.
So,
Hey, Zach.
Gene, how are you?
Good.
Colin got the red lines to, Amdocs or T-Mobile. I got a copy of
You said Colin had, what did you say, red light?
red lines.
Red lines,
So he looked at
okay.
the contract, and updated wordage for, behalf of the county. So I've got a copy of that here for you guys, if you guys want to take a look at it, just a quick over high level. So the initial term of the lease shall be 5 years commencing on the date of the tenant's exercise of the option. The lease shall renew for up to 4 successive renewal terms for 5 years each. The tenant shall pay the landlord rent of $15.50 per month. And then the rent for the initial term shall increase 2% over the rent for the initial term, and rent for each renewal term thereafter shall increase by 2%. So each term will increase by 2%.
So it starts at 1550, goes up 2% at each term.
Each term. Yep. So if you guys look at this, it says per the 1550 per year. I confirmed that was per month. It's just a typo
Oh.
on their end. So I saw that.
I was-
Wait a second.
That's a
So.
big difference.
That's what I did test it.
So that's the entire lease agreement in its entirety. This is what they're going to do to the tower. I don't know if you guys want to take a look at that. And then I've got,
What's an overview on what they're going to do to the tower?
I think they are replacing, I think Bert's on it. Yeah, Bert. So Bert is
that if you like.
gonna do
Who's Bert with?
Amdocs.
Yeah.
He's the-
I can speak to that if you like.
Yeah, go ahead, Bert.
So essentially, we're going to be installing 6 antennas, 6 radios, and 2 cables on the tower itself. And then we'll be installing a weather canopy on the ground on top of a concrete pad. We'll be using the existing lease area. That's essentially the overview of the equipment going on the tower.
Is there anything that's coming off of the tower?
So previously, US Cellular was on the tower. I believe all their equipment will be coming off.
That's good. We're about max capacity, right?
That's, but if we, I mean, practice.
We did see that spreadsheet. The old what's coming off, right?
Yep. Here. So then this is the structural analysis that our structural engineer did.
And they were fine with everything?
Through them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
after you showed me that, I did some research. I think it was gonna net like 300 pounds more on our tower.
Put more on.
300 pounds, I think, total, what they're taking off, what putting on is gonna net 300 pounds more. I mean, when you see things on a spreadsheet, it's like, oh yeah, they're taking some stuff off.
Yeah.
So really, we're squared away with the contract and the structural analysis. Correct, structural analysis is right there. Okay, if you guys want to see it. So.
What more?
I don't think
Did
I
you
can
want?
redo that.
Or the actual-
Yeah.
I don't know if
I hope they are.
Yeah. The
It'd be great
overview
to me
was,
if I
There
did.
are some engineering students that.
That's why we hire that
Spot.
professional to be our representative.
Anything else, Bert, that we should know?
That's everything on my end. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer to anything. But I believe, like we were saying, we've provided the structural analyses, or I should say your third-party engineer provided it. We paid for it. But yeah, I believe it's pretty straightforward. The equipment we're putting on the tower is pretty standard as far as T-Mobile's equipment goes. But if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anybody else have any questions for Bert? I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay.
Bert, we've got some other tower sites available that'll actually help get rid of some of our dead spots in our county. We're really worried down by Dow City, our school. We really don't even have much good phone signal at all down there. So
Yeah,
there's a tower
Zach
that's pretty
had-
close to that if you have any interest. Just
Okay, yeah,
kinda
Zach had provided.
shameless plug here.
Yeah, Zach had provided some of the additional locations, so we did provide that to T-Mobile. But it's really up to their RF team to determine where they want to, co-locate.
Sure. But thanks for letting them know.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, way to go, Zach. Good job. Any other questions? So the lease is done. We're here for approval today?
Yep.
Okay. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the T-Mobile lease.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ty, second by Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you, Zach.
You bet.
Thanks, Bert.
You
Thank
DocuSign
you all
that,
very
or
much.
you have a
Thanks,
clean
Bert.
copy that
Thank
won't
you.
have,
They're.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're.
They'll be
clean
providing
copy.
one.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, because they
thank
gotta
you.
make that change to the year versus month.
That'll be
So,
great.
Once I get that, then I'll
Yeah.
give it to you guys and
Appreciate
go
it.
from there.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, guys.
Move on to that was in our board packet, and I think Paul had mentioned before that he wanted to have the signatures on the disabled veterans homestead and military tax credit applications. They were in the packet, so I guess I
Is
just,
that them right there?
instead of, yeah, that's them right
Yeah.
there.
Looks like somebody's pretty
I don't
much
know.
gone through.
That's why I see.
I was looking at them and
You were
you
looking at
said you
them.
hadn't seen the packet, so.
Oh, okay. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve those. I didn't sign them initially, was waiting for, I feel we should sign after we
agree.
have been.
I'll make a motion to approve those. I mean, they've already been vetted by the assessors.
Right.
Looks like they
Well,
know
and
who's moved. and
It
who
says
don't.
approve and disapprove, so I suppose if something was recommended for disapproval, it would be in here, so.
I just glanced, I guess I didn't.
know.
Zach glanced at them too.
Well,
and
there's
I-
some homestead, there's deletes on here.
You could say approval of the list all provided.
Yeah, as provided or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I guess,
That was your motion, right?
in essence, yeah, I was improving what was provided in front of them.
As presented.
Okay, motion by Kyle,
I'll second that.
second by Gene. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Move on to the vehicle assignment and take home vehicle policy. I believe it's just be a discussion. I don't know. This is kind of something that Kyle put together and presented it to us to overview, and I'm sure you, I know you gave a copy to the county attorney
Yep, and there's a copy of it
in the board book.
Yeah, in my pile.
But I guess any initial thoughts from the board on what they thought when they first read it? I mean, my initial thought when I read it was 18 pages.
It's a little lengthy.
Do we need 18 pages?
I don't know if we do or not.
For a vehicle policy seemed like a lot to me. That I just wondered if there was a way that we could just say, as a county board of supervisors, we hereby assign vehicles to, sheriff deputies, EMA, county engineer. And is there anybody else that has a vehicle that can take home?
Conservation.
Currently, conservation, if we disapprove that, it would just be those people.
But how would we process the disapproval and the approval? I kind of like the fact that he has a rating score on how you.
Right, that
determine
seemed
whether-
extensive to me, when you score it pretty high, if they need secure, what's the very first thing?
Response outside normal hours.
Right,
Yeah, but here's kind of
so I mean, that's the sheriff's deputy and the EMA, they qualify for that,
every one of them,
certainly,
even if you're off duty.
certainly.
Yeah, if there was a school shooting, you'd want them all to show up.
You won't want them to have to drive to Dennison to hop in their
No.
sheriff deputy car and then go to, you know,
I mean, that's worst case scenario, but that's what we have to plan for.
Law enforcement,
Right.
that's the IRS side there, yep, correct, yeah.
When you say it qualifies for that, I felt my foreman also.
Yeah.
your foreman drive trucks.
Because they will.
To and from
get called out
work?
At all hours of the night, you know, tree down, a bridge issue.
And that's where that scoring system
Yeah.
rates all that. So,
Have we ever done a scoring system though?
no.
I kind of like
Not that I'm aware
that.
of.
But when I was putting that together, it kept referring back to IRS policies and state policies, so I think, and that's kind of where, through my research, it says that, and I don't know for sure, but it says we need to have a vehicle policy for IRS standards, and I think you said we have,
We have some, Amy brought it,
you did bring it.
Oh, well,
right? Or
it's in
you
the
have it.
handbook,
Yeah.
but it is not extensive and, kind of, I like some of the stuff that you have, I kind of condensed it down.
And that's fine, it's for
But I
discussion.
feel like
time.
there are some things in there that, because we don't touch on, like, no smoking or vaping or in the vehicle. I mean, there's like specifics in this policy that we don't really touch on in the handbook. In the handbook, we do say that if you take the vehicle home, there is we do the round trip, $3 a day thing. And the only ones I've ever done that for is at the end of the year, and it's on the engineer and, conservation. I've never had a list of anyone else to do, so I've never done anyone else, but with Ben, that's changing, so anybody that's taking a vehicle home will be assessed, because it's a fringe benefit to have that.
It is.
That does not apply to law enforcement or EMA, that's only these others, it's a fringe benefit. And I will just say, my question to you guys is, how would you I don't know how to word this, with conservation being their own board, they hired Chris with, you will have this car, it was part of like his package, benefit package. That he has a salary and he has this vehicle that he takes home. So since that board is the one that approved that, can you guys take that away from him, even if you do this matrix?
I've been trying to toss that around myself, who controls what out there.
That's,
Well,
and
this is a discussion thing, so that's pretty
Yeah, I
good to
mean,
bring it up.
I'm glad you were having the same thoughts I was having.
same thoughts I had.
Yeah, it's a county-owned vehicle, but it's controlled by another board yeah.
Well, if you know, and I think that the history of that was because back in the day, the conservation had lived there. And so that vehicle was there because they lived on the park. If you go way back in the day.
You missed a couple.
Lance used to live there. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, because I may have lived it, but I can't. He lived there, and so he didn't have a home to go to. Then when he moved, that just kind of moved along with him, and so that became the way we've always done it. And I don't really, in this whole matrix and looking at this, if you had to answer how often in the last 12 months you had an emergency arise that you needed to come back, I don't think it would fit in the matrix that we would have here. And so it does come to reason, especially when we need to buy a new vehicle, does that vehicle really, and we don't have any mileage, you could live in Carroll and still drive that vehicle home every day and back for lunch or whatever. It's a lot of wear and tear, and you'd have to try to ask yourself, and that becomes, is it that board or this board that determines that? So I don't think we've thought about it, but how do we determine it? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the matrix is great, because does a tree fall every day that the secondary roads need one, to take it home?
I agree.
I don't know that, I think the matrix is a good thing.
Nope.
My question to you guys is about the conservation board and the EMA board. I mean, Zach has a car as well.
Yep.
So that would be another board that is not part of you guys, so And I think if you're doing it for one, you kind of need to do
Absolutely.
it for
I
all.
guess my thought on this was that matrix would be given to the department head in charge or the boards that are in charge of the vehicles fill out. As long as they follow that matrix, and then we still have to,
Right.
wouldn't have to sign off on it. So
I think the way
it's
that,
not, like I said, Ben knows how many times, I don't know how many
Yeah,
times,
no, we
but I
know.
know just a couple weeks ago, I had to make a few phone calls after 9 o'clock to get. I tried Ben, didn't answer, I called Tim, he didn't answer, trees down the road, South Tower Road, I went to that. It was all in there.
Quite often, it doesn't affect, they might give them that option to take it home or not, because that up to this point, it's pretty well, you take your truck home. You know, we're basically requiring them to have their truck home, because they gotta respond to these things that are on call. It's just kind of what has always been with our department.
And this is just, don't mean trying to change it, they're trying to solidify it, put it in black and white, as a protection.
Yeah.
Or, whatever reasoning, lawsuits or whatever, did he have permission to even be in that vehicle? But yes, we can really trace it back. And, yep, they're signed off.
So does your matrix, you think, make it fair in every department that
That
fills
was the
that out?
goal of the matrix, to take out any favoritism from one department over the other.
correct. And that's why I kind of thought that it's been years since we've ever thought about who has vehicles, why they have the vehicle, and is it fair to the taxpayers that someone is using a vehicle back and forth to work when there's really no real reason to have that vehicle back and forth to work. And like you said, it was part of the contract that we supply a vehicle for them. That's just some of the things that we were trying to make more unified and have an actual policy for how come if you're ever questioned on why someone takes a vehicle home, you say because it's,
Can the department head override the policy?
there'd be the one, they're overriding their own
No,
policy.
they shouldn't be able to.
They
It's your
should be able
policy.
to. You don't fit within the policy and it's you that's driving it, you get to say, well, I'm gonna drive it anyway, no matter if I qualify or not.
Right. And I have a question. Who's researching driving records? To make sure our people driving our vehicles, county vehicles, liability of the county are,
Even have a driver's license.
yeah,
I don't know if anybody.
insurable, are all those things.
I know it's like kind
So
of like,
I will say, down secondary roads, Gable is the one that takes care of, making sure everybody has their insurance up to date and,
Good.
they do a DOT inquiry every year. The rest, I don't know. The other thing that I know is, and this goes not for just this, but anybody that drives a county vehicle, we need to have insurance and license on file. I have most license on file. But I don't do that to every department. I'm not aware who's taking vehicles, stuff like that, so I don't have those things. So, I mean, I know this is for the county vehicle, but I think it also needs to kind of talk about people that are using a county vehicle to go to a school or something. You know, we need to have, we need to make sure that they are worthy of driving a county vehicle. And I also know that in this policy that, it was said something about if you get an OWI or if you get something on your record, it's up to the employee to let the employer know. So, I mean, that was something that I don't know if you wrote this or whatever, but I do think that that's important to have a policy. So if someone gets an OWI or something like that, then the department head can say, okay, you just revoked your privileges of having this vehicle.
but without that being in writing and spelled out, then we made that rule up as it came along, and that's not fair because they may say, well, so-and-so has one and they're still driving it, so we didn't really stay the way we really like to make sure we treat everybody equally and the same. If it's not in writing, and it can't be assumed that everybody knew they needed to do that, because we never laid it out. And I think the reason that we're addressing it is because old policies need to be updated. There's things that have been quote unquote the way we've always done it. And we have to have an answer for, is that really the right way to do it? So
No, I think this policy is great, not 18 pages.
I rather like
Like I
it.
said, I got it down to 2.
Look
But
at
no, I
you.
think it's great, I think it is great, and those are the things that I said that I think is
Great.
important, that it is written down.
Does yours have a way to determine whether the use of the vehicle fits into the evaluation and scoring process, or is that something that?
I work more on the policy, not the matrix part.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that is something that maybe you guys.
I think maybe the policy and the matrix can be split apart.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right.
And I think the matrix, the only reason that that's kind of important to me is how often in the last 12 months have you needed to respond to an emergency? And we're all saying, well, what if? And in the last year, that hasn't really happened. So is it better for us to just pay for that one time when you have to go than to have a vehicle every day, you know, back and forth and having the extra miles put on those vehicles? Part of the thought process is all the extra miles that are put on these county vehicles and the, you know, maintenance, so wear and tear, tires, oil changes, when really and truly they only were needed once in the last, maybe not even in the last 12 months.
Yeah, that would be interesting data to collect.
I mean, it would be, just, I've done research and it could accumulate up to $5,000 to $7,000 a year.
This one,
Right, because paying the IRS mileage rate is not an inexpensive process.
Oil changes, tires, fuel,
Yeah,
you know, it's just like,
yeah.
so.
Right, and then from a public safety perspective, how do you put a dollar figure on that? You know,
Right. Right. Well, and the IRS tax implication is nearly $500 or so for a full
I mean,
year.
Literally.
It's not like it's a budget
Fine.
so that's what
breaking.
the
That's what the
employee that has that
employee-
benefit has to claim $500.
It's
worth of-
$3 a day
Yeah.
and working day, and that is, the tax, that's the tax amount, that's not like it takes off that amount, that's the tax value, so the taxes only is about $500. So, yeah, that's a great benefit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I
Those are
think with
huge.
some of them,
Thank you.
I don't know with the foreman's if it was part of their employment package or benefit package. But like I said, if you are gonna go do this matrix and talk about the other ones that have it, EMA and Chris, it is part of Chris's, so it might be something that you need to either up, if you were decided, oh, we're gonna take this car away, you may need to think about that value, so you add to his compensation, because if it was part of his package, he needs
So
to,
we could just add $500.
well, that's the tax.
That's the tax, but
That's not the actual value.
So
of
that's
the
not what they're not claiming $500 more in income.
That's what it is. It's $500 in income.
In income.
Oh, no, it's $3 a day, working day. So I take out any vacations, sick leave, funerals, whatever. So $3 actual that they worked, and then that's the tax
Right,
amount.
if they work 5 days a week, 50 weeks, that's
Right.
250
But like-
times 3, that's $750.
Yeah, but like
minus vacations,
Kyle
minus.
says, I mean,
Yeah.
taking a vehicle home, that benefit, your tires, your maintenance, your not having to have a second vehicle, those kind of things.
Right, all I'm saying is if the IRS values it at that, that's what we could value as it, to say now we're gonna increase your salary by $750, because that's what the IRS says, now provide your own vehicle.
I don't think that's.
Well,
I don't think
I mean,
that's-
If we're gonna compare to compare.
It's amazing, the IRS actually values it that low, but I mean.
It is.
When they value their mileage so high.
Yeah.
It's quite
But
a,
that's what the IRS states is, and that's what we have to follow, is the
Right.
IRS.
Understand.
but the value of it is a lot more than that, as we
Oh,
all
it is.
know, if you have to go out and buy it take your own vehicle every day, you're gonna have to pay for oil changes, new tires, wear and tear. So,
Appreciation.
yeah, so those are all the things that this school brings up for us to think about that we've never thought about. And so I think it's, yeah, but it's,
These cans of worms probably should have been opened
Yeah, I
years ago.
agree. I'm just.
As we, from the public, keep asking.
Yes.
I mean, transparency is one of the things I hear a lot when I talk.
Yeah.
They're starting to pay more attention as the budgets get tighter and we're gonna start cutting things. They're gonna want why or what, or so.
Right.
I mean, simple things of this is just not really gonna change a lot, maybe nothing, but yet we're transparent.
But maybe we drive a vehicle for 2 more years because the mileage isn't on them.
Correct.
Maybe we,
Right.
you know what I mean? Maybe
Right.
that happens
and
Every
all
little
of
bit
our,
and don't have to replace them as often.
does like the assessor's vehicle, does it clearly state
Both
that
of
that
them.
is?
2 vehicles.
Do they have, so if a citizen sees that vehicle, they know it's the assessor? I actually don't know the answer to that. I should.
I
but
think
if
they have it. I think it's got an emblem on
Does
it.
it?
Yeah, it's marked, it
Yeah.
says.
Is it?
It almost looks like secondary roads, but it has. the
Okay,
assessment.
and
Assessor
Chris
on it.
has that on his, that
He
conservation.
has the conservation.
This is
emblem.
conservation. I should know
Badge
that,
or
but
whatever it is, kind of emblem, yeah.
seems like
They are marked.
that's,
Yeah.
I was sure they were, but I was trying to think if
It's smaller than a Sport.
Is it?
I don't know, we have it on here as discussion, which we have discussed and tweaking is,
I mean, I'd like to see your condensed version.
I would
And
too.
that's fine, you gotta start someplace.
Exactly.
Uh,
So did county attorney look at your policy?
He's
Did he-
got a copy of it, but I haven't heard back from
Okay.
him on this one due to the, with this
Right.
Schedule.
trial schedules and stuff, so.
The caseload, you got it swamped for about 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
So do we just want to put it on the agenda for next week and then have Amy provide us with her copy and
We can
next
do
week?
that.
And then we just compare those two and see what we want to do?
Yeah, we can peel it.
Because I
apart.
think she brought up a good point about some things that need to be added.
Yeah, and the other thing that secondary roads does is, when they get called out, even if it's like for 15 minutes, they get 2 hours paid. And now, I don't know how Chris does it, so I don't know if he ever gets called out, if he gets, how he does that. If he just writes down how much he's, worked or whatever.
Let's get that, Ben. Yeah, okay.
But Chris wouldn't be hourly, he's
Outside of
salary,
the working
right?
hours, it's about 2 hours.
Sorry.
He's
not my employee, I don't-
Okay, I knew that hourly did that, but I didn't know if Foreman got that same
Right.
triple.
They're salary too.
Salary, so.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're still considered hourly.
Okay,
So are they getting paid at overtime then?
Yes.
For those
So
2
if that
hours?
2 hours
So
goes
you and
into.
Tim are
So are they non-exempt?
Tim, I don't believe it is.
Oh, Tim is.
And
Technically?
technically,
Should-
they.
they are, but
it's
should it
something
be?
that maybe needs to.
That might be
looked at.
something else
Because if they're
because,
supervising
Yeah.
more than 2 people, they.
They
could
should be
non-exempt, Or they
Yep.
could be exempt and not get overtime.
because it's a
But that's a
conversation,
whole nother
but
conversation.
it's a
Yeah, that's
conversation that we
another
have over public
conversation.
health, when they get called.
Might be one we have to have.
How we pay them and
But like,
and a whole lot of dynamics goes into that decision of when you get certain pay and
Right,
so it's something that really a matrix would help
I don't
to
think you
figure
would've
out,
paid me
how long,
for my
15
hours.
minutes, you get paid for 2 hours of overtime when you're a salary, an exempt.
well, they get just regular time, it is
Okay.
regular time. I
That-
mean,
okay.
there are, like, I know public health, if they get called out, it's a $40 flat fee. So, I was just saying how secondary
Yeah.
roads is doing it, they're not getting overtime, they're not getting,
Okay.
unless they work 40 hours on top of this 2 hours, then
Okay.
of course that would make it overtime.
So yeah, a lot to keep track.
So that, and this is another thing, does this go in here, does it not, like,
I think it's a different policy, ain't it?
Yes.
I had a
Call out part, yeah.
call out policy, but we also gotta remember, we don't wanna make it to where it's like, they don't answer their phone either.
Yeah.
After hours, so. But yes, there needs to be,
If we provide it, they should.
well.
Sorry.
Well,
That's a good point.
who has a county phone and who is answering their own phone?
I don't have
County
one,
phone
but I answer
policy.
mine.
I don't have one, I answer mine.
Yep.
So, let's just,
We've made great
You guys,
no, that's what I'm trying to pull the two
I
apart.
answer mine all the time. You guys are entertaining.
Policy,
I'll send what
Or
I,
you call
and then we can compare them. Cause
We'll
once
send that out to us, Amy.
Yeah. yeah,
Thank
I
you.
mean, obviously, I'm sure if Colin's working on something, his would trump mine. I basically just took what you had, kind of condensed it down.
But share it with Colin too. He
Yeah.
might bring something to light for him
Yeah,
Did AI
that
help
he
you?
didn't think of.
of course.
it's a tool that's out there, if you just.
It,
Absolutely.
I even know how to use it.
Oh my, I
Believe it
feel
or not.
behind you fall then.
Oh, I had it make me, I'll tell you something when I.
Well, you put the information in
Different
there, is what you're asking it to do, and you read it and truly
Yeah.
understand it, so.
I've been impressed both times.
It saves, it saves us sitting there waiting for paying
Yeah,
a Chelsea type person to type it all up.
she's using it too.
And so. Maybe if it's, AI gets to where we feel comfortable enough, we don't even have to have that type of person on payroll anymore.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, no, but the future,
Well, I appreciate
I
the
mean, we
discussion.
get
on
a
it.
lot of bang for a buck with that one up there, though,
Yeah.
the more that costs.
I agree.
I appreciate that, Amy, so.
So before Amy leaves, I just want to commend her. I guess I was going to talk to you before the meeting on your Crawford County Historical Society posters that you had down at the
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
Those were tremendous. So I understand you had your hand in them. From talking to Christie.
What did you do with those? I thought they looked good hanging up there.
Oh, yes.
We haven't done anything with them. I was thinking, I didn't know if we wanted to put it in the conference room or something. I mean, I thought it was a lot of good information.
Yeah.
Definitely put them
I don't want to
somewhere.
be thrown, I guess, don't throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do something here with them.
It's one of the few booths I visited like 3
Do
or
you
4
like them
times just because
I
I
love it.
didn't want to hang out there for
I love
We
hours.
took
so I
your old
did.
one down.
That's
Yeah,
really
thank
nice.
you.
I thought
We
it
took the old one down.
Yeah, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, there was a lot of information. Who knew that?
Take some of these things down and
We can fill them in with that history.
Well, maybe even going up the steps of the courthouse
Oh,
or
yeah.
something that people can, public can read them
Yeah,
while they're here.
Yeah.
Or out in the
The
lobby that
second
they could
floor
read while they were
landing,
waiting.
Right.
well, I don't throw anything away, so.
Okay.
There you
A
go.
lot of different places. There were
I'd like to
plenty
see
of
that out
Mhm.
in the public for more people that didn't take the time at the fair to,
them. Yeah, for sure.
I did the 1898, but, yeah, we're looking at that. I made a donation to the Historical Society, so I can get that one plat map. But trying to find certain farms on there, and I was trying to use Ricketts as a reference, and it wasn't even on there yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Horse lesson. But Boyer seemed to be pretty big. So, for-
Huh?
That's the old train
That
station.
didn't
That was
surprise me.
Boyer's claim to fame,
Yep.
Yeah,
the pumpkin.
so,
My great grandparents used to walk, chase cattle to Boyer, get them on the train, walk them. I don't know how many miles to get to Boyer, because they had the yards there.
yeah.
And
Isn't
then
that
they load them on
something?
the train and go to Chicago.
And
And my grandpa,
who,
my
which
grandfather
one
told me
drove that?
as when he was a young kid, when he was like 12, 13, that was a big thing. Got to go with his uncles on the train to Chicago,
Yeah.
on low cattle.
Yeah. We did go.
Astor also,
Yes, right.
because that was when the Peterson farm had their shorthorn purebred sale, they would, people from all over the United States would come to Astor.
Astor, yep, right,
Their own sale ran at Peterson.
right.
Pretty cool stuff.
Real cool stuff.
So we'll move on to the budget amendment evaluation guideline policy. Something else that kind of worked on for us.
Very similar to.
very similar. I just think as we search for more transparency, it's just, you're not necessarily to punish anybody, it's just, this is what we ask for a budget amendment. So when the public asks us why or what, you know, we like, this is what we've been provided, it makes sense or it don't make sense.
Yep.
Right. You know, it seems to me that budgets get tighter, it's gonna be one of those things where, well, they got some reserves left, I'll just budget certain things and then we'll do a budget amendment later on to cover the rest of the stuff.
And
how do we curb that?
seems like once the budget amendment is suggested, it just,
No,
it would just, nobody ever questions how come, what happened, and there was one recently that nobody really knew why, but
right, and I think the spending is happening before the amendment is even being requested.
correct.
So I think we need to get the horse before the cart again, and,
Because
you know,
it's easy to do a budget that you
it's
think
not
you
a
can live
guarantee,
with.
you all do not have to approve the amendments.
Well,
that-
it's
Get
they became
presented.
a rubber.
Yeah.
I mean, on my
Yes.
early
Say,
days at
it's
this
okay.
board,
Yes,
we seem to have had like 2 amendments a year.
yes,
One around
Pretty
Christmas
steady.
and one right at the end of the fiscal year.
April-ish, yeah,
And all it seems like they just keep frequently.
yeah,
So,
Didn't budget
Yes.
for overtime or, you know.
Right.
And
no, I know. And a lot of other things that, you know, spending happens prior to an amendment even being discussed. It's like,
It just
that
gets
is
added.
that is not kosher. That is not
I never
kosher.
thought it
They need to
was.
be, our department heads and elected officials need to be responsible of the funds that have been allocated to them for that fiscal year. And if something happens, because things do happen,
right,
those discussions need to be brought to the table
yeah.
earlier than the spending happens. Those
So,
need to happen.
Do you think that that's the case when you're a department head and you submit a budget to us, you have line items? And so when you go over that dollar amount that's in that line item, you have the authority to say, you know what, we're just not gonna, that desks that we were gonna purchase this year, I'm just not gonna purchase them because I need more money in this line item.
Right,
So I'll wait till
Right.
next year and put it in my budget
Right.
next year.
Right.
That we don't wanna make them have to come to us once they go over a line item.
no, we're a bottom
We're a
dollar
bottom
budget.
dollar, right.
We're a
Right.
bottom dollar budget. But I understand them evaluating each line. You have to appreciate that for the departments that actually spend that way.
correct.
That spend within the guides of each line item, whether it be furniture or whatever, postage or, you know, whatever it is. And most of them are pretty valiant about that.
So they wouldn't have to notify us just because they went over a line item
No,
No,
or get approval or anything.
and I don't know that they all know that. I don't know that, I don't know that they all know that.
And that's why it's time to probably,
Right, I think having this talk is a
Because-
good thing.
So what did you glean from Colin's response?
well, he had a few things that didn't, maybe he thought didn't match Iowa code or whatever, and I think I changed them. I at least tried to take his advice and change that information, because it's gotta follow Iowa code.
Right.
We don't supersede Iowa code, but
Yeah, but,
I'm sure like.
but I think,
I know that's right.
but I think that, and Terry brought up that valid point of, it was already spent, and then we just attach it to another, line item or budget amendment, and it.
But they have to be willing to adjust the original spending concept of that line item in order to be able to be able to spend out of there for something else. They have to understand, it's like, okay, I thought I was gonna get a chair or a desk or a whatchamacallit, and okay, I need it to compensate for this activity that I've already committed to, and it's costing more.
Like
So no chair for us this year. We're gonna hold off on the chair purchase or whatever it is. That's
You
just
do a chair and then you decide to give more of a raise than was actually originally thought. Those are things that have come up in the past too.
they have.
And those are things that are.
It's great if it's in your budget, but if it's not and you overexpend your budget
Correct.
because of it,
And then we're-
because you didn't work the numbers right,
Correct.
hate it for you.
That's why
I mean,
because I always
hate it
hate
for
it when
ya.
we say, well, we're gonna do a budget amendment, this, you know, I just. that-
County
I like
just
that.
sending donations out of your paycheck, is that what you're trying to do?
well, you know,
So your version 2.0 takes Colin's recommendations and you implement them in your policy 2.0.
yes, 2.0 does have
did-
those.
Colin then I don't think he responded back from the 2.0 policy.
I have not. no.
Right, I haven't seen that.
Which,
Okay.
with this
It's just a
workload,
great
I kind of
conversation
understand
to have.
Another great conversation.
Yes,
to
they are
have.
great. I love the idea. I've thought about it myself and just
So do
haven't.
we want to
That's
have
what I was
all
saying.
department heads look at it?
I don't know if we need to do that. I mean, if one thing this board has control over is the budget.
Right?
So if you put, I mean, I feel it would probably get watered down a lot if we put all department heads input into it.
Well, I'd like to
Yeah.
actually even say something so that the public understands, not that we necessarily have control over the budget, which we do, but we have responsibility.
Responsibility.
Responsibility of the budget.
There you go.
And that's why we take and I appreciate why you're doing these things, because we do have that responsibility. The things that we can do to manage it better and more transparent, with more transparency. And these things are important. I mean,
Yes.
you know, it isn't to try to punish somebody because they need a budget. I mean, because things do happen.
Well, if the
But
state,
we've got to be at a handle on it, because there isn't anybody sitting at this table right now, or probably even around the room, that hasn't said, why are we making so darn many budget amendments?
Right.
I
exactly,
mean, we've all asked.
Yes.
So I mean, this is what we're doing to try to get hold, and I appreciate you putting in the extra time to do it.
what happens when the state makes us burn our reserves down and we just can't willy-nilly pass out budget amendments? We need to be not willing, we're protecting our reserves as long as we can.
Well, we should never.
And
have
they are
done-
requiring us to assign those reserves. There are five categories. I'm gonna get that on the agenda so you all can start talking about it. So maybe if you go to ISAC in a few weeks, you can start talking to other counties, what they do, what they've done to assign. And I think it's primarily general fund balances, if I'm remembering it right. I'm gonna find that. We talked about it at our summer school. And so I have a few notes about it, but it's something I think in this next budget session you need to do as a board, is assigning the balance into categories, spendable. I can't
Okay.
remember what they exactly
You
are,
can
but
get us.
I
that
will. I'll get you all
so
that
we can have an
information and
intelligent
it'll
conversation.
be a discussion that you start having at
So,
this table.
Did Iowa code changed and said that
Yeah. I
here's
think
how you
so.
have to designate your
Yeah,
surplus
It's been
funds?
on there for a long time, but I think it's become a requirement through legislation. One of those things that happen, it's
So
like.
the state
oh,
legislature wants to know, they'll know statewide, every county's in those 5 categories, how much money they have.
Yeah. That
in each of those
you're
categories.
actually allocating it for a certain reason as unspendable or, again, I don't remember the categories
Just remember,
exactly, so,
all right.
yeah.
When the state has a great budget reserve, they tout that and use that. And they want us to burn ours down so we don't have to.
Do we
You
have
know, when
a
you think
reserve?
about like the reserve here, it's been decades of accumulation that we've been just stingy about using it. I mean, we've used it like, because of this budget amendment stuff, we have been using it some lately, but I mean, we're talking a lot of boards that have contributed to this reserve, which it sounds like we got a big reserve, but it wasn't like we were over, I mean, we're one of the, more responsible counties out there. Our new assessor even demonstrated that. So, I mean, it isn't like we
We're not
overtaxed,
taxing the bill reserves.
but we're also very stingy about spending that extra money. We might need it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we are.
That's the old farmer agony.
Right.
That's why all that stuff sits out behind the barn. So we might need it someday, so we don't get rid of it, you know? That's the way we operate.
Well, I think we
Yeah.
just wait till we hear back from Colin on this, but
You want it
far as
on
I'm
next week's
concerned,
agenda again?
yeah, I read it, rewrote things, just used Colin's advice, Chelsea's advice, put things in, take things out. I think it's able to be ratified from what I've seen, unless they throw some crazy wrench into it. But
Well, I always think a policy is the best way to go, so everyone is treated exactly the same and not this person got to do this and, it's just best to have it in writing and we all follow it. I believe in policy personally. I don't think it's just
Could
best
protect the
practice.
county in the future.
I'm trying. So. All right, policies,
Okay, so the vehicle assignment and the budget amendment, those two conversations add to next week's
Yes.
agenda,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, and if we don't hear anything back from
Right, you can,
legal counsel, we just.
Just skip over.
skip
Right.
over
we'll
them.
just pass it.
at least they're there,
Apologize
so
later.
we can.
You gotta pass it to read it.
Well, I can dig it.
I'm joking about that. All
We'll
right.
move on to the appointment of Pam Sosman to the Region 12 Regional Housing Authority Board of Directors.
I have spoken to Pam and she is willing to serve and she will be one that attends the meetings and. So, yep. I
Yeah,
would make
we
a
got a
motion.
letter from Region 12 stating that Sherry Vaughn was not able to continue or not wanting that reappointment. So yeah, they mentioned Pam Sosman in their letter, so.
Yep, and Pam, I talked to her, she's.
Be a good one.
Yep,
He's up on her.
she'll be active,
Oh, yeah.
so I make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Gene, second by Ty. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right,
Move on to citizens input. KR, is that why you've been here for a long
Yes.
time? So jump to you first.
You have a new weed commissioner. And he does not have the technology to know who the landowners are.
Yes.
A friend of mine who farms close to one of our farms got a notice for weeds on one of our farms. And I'm guilty, it was the CRP first year seeding that we did not mow 3/4 of an acre, so I mowed it today. But there's several people getting notices that it's not their property. And it's really simple, there's an app, Onyx, there's other apps that show at least who the landowner is. I'm all for people taking care of the property. This little 3/4, I was the one that missed it, but I know that the county is fired up about it, because after the guy who called me said that he's talked to other people that have got notices on property.
I've received phone calls in
So,
regards to it. I've reached out to our weed commissioner and he said he works with the assessor's office to.
Yeah, he told me today, I talked to him, that he's got some health issues and he may not be the weed commissioner very much longer anyway, so, but there is a technology if they're gonna write these up to get the app and find out at least who the owner is. Then if they, I mean, there's
You wanna
several.
get you wanna get the right people.
I mean,
Yeah.
KR, to your point, I got a phone call yesterday at noon over
From
there.
the same guy who called me.
Okay,
Yeah,
and it was three different
yes,
occasions that he got 3 different letters
from,
throughout the summer from the weed commissioner,
yeah,
and all 3 were not his property.
right.
And so I
I'm just saying.
I contacted the weed commissioner yesterday,
Yeah,
and he was going to call this individual
Yeah.
and apologize to
Yeah.
him.
and I'm not looking for.
And I will say the same thing that you just said, as far as the health issues are concerned, there is some things that have come up.
But if you do get a new person, make sure they have an app that shows
Yeah.
it. Onyx is a really easy one. It's a
My kid
hunting app,
uses
but
it.
it's,
And
everybody
It's
uses
up to
it.
date.
And it's,
Jerry, I-
Well,
sometimes
we
it can
can
be
use our
6 months
GIS
behind if
too.
there's been a transfer of
is
property.
that all up to date?
My other
Yeah,
comment
it is.
obviously is on the
It's better than it
vehicle.
was.
Maybe have some of these people that are driving the vehicles do a 60-day register how many, their mileage in the
Right.
morning, their mileage at night, and if they have been called out to use it, because the person that we're talking about, that department also grandfathered in, there was time where 2 people got utility allowance after they moved off the parks for a few years. I'm not sure if any of you supervisors were on at that point, but they got a utility allowance every year after they moved off the park. My feelings on having somebody drive back and forth to work and home for lunch with a county vehicle. I monitor it, I don't think secondary roads, those guys do get called out more, but my main thing was the weed commissioner. I love seeing people take care of their weeds, but it's gotta contact, the one he contacted that would be,
I know some that he's
Yeah.
contacted too.
thank you,
Thank you.
thanks for the work.
Thanks for sticking around, KR. You're a busy man.
Not really.
Anybody out in Zoom want to address the board?
A lot of you.
Anybody else here in the room?
I need to, let me just quick go over these handouts that, these here are actually, NACO's doing up some stuff.
You want these back?
No, you can look at them.
Right, can I take it?
Yeah, no,
Or
I
do you
mean,
want 'em
that's,
back?
they're for, well, I mean, just for everybody to look at. Yeah, I don't need it, none of these back. I've already got some of these. This is the maps again, you like one last year. So I brought that again. This is actually coloring books they're doing so that the kids see what we do with counties. And see, I mean, my county works. It's actually stuff that, you know, reach out to kids so that they understand what's going on at the county level. You know, what does the county do for me when they would come up here with their parents and they look in and you always see them look in, what are them guys doing? You know, I mean, that's just.
Can you get more of those, like when our fourth graders or they come up that we could pass those
I
out?
suspect we can. I mean, NACO's got their own publisher.
Wouldn't that be
We
really
actually
cool
make
if
all
we had
our
a
own stuff.
supply of them to pass out?
It's
when,
pretty cool stuff.
That's cool.
And so I just want to, Medicaid and inmates, we're working on it at the national level. Just wanted to let everybody know that because we fight with that all the time. And it's something that blows up Roger's budget.
Blows it
It's
up.
one of the things that actually do have to do amendments for because of crap that happens, because this gets canceled while they're in custody. So we're working on that. And that's one that there ain't a commissioner or supervisor in the country that ain't drawing about that. So anyway, that's some of the stuff. Payments and lieu of taxes, you might want to read that one.
I was doing some research, Ty.
Good. Federal permitting reform, we're working on that, working hard and diligent on that. And details, that's not really in my wheelhouse, other than they do ask ag some different things, and then the rural action caucus. So there's things that we're working on there. And then the emergency management, we're, you know, when I'm talking to people on that stuff now, we're actually doing things that other counties haven't started to do yet. So they're asking me like, well, what'd you do here? I said, well, I need to just give you Zach's phone number. You know, so this is actually something, because you know, the FEMA disasters you've seen in North Carolina, what happens, you've seen every other year in Florida, you know, and just about had another nice doozy come on shore down there in New Orleans just after I left there. You know, I mean, just different things. There's some things that we're working on out there. Just Build America Back Better, different things like that. I know they can get, some of them got the surface transportation thing. I mean, you look through these stuff. PFAS, and we've heard that brought up a couple times with the data centers. That's been no small issue out there, but most of it's on the closed loop systems wouldn't escape. I can go into that a lot more, but I don't want to waste a lot of time. And then this we are counties and that 369 strong. So I mean, please go ahead and look through this stuff. These are some of the stuff that's in the back of the room when we go, oh yeah, and then this, I got one of them, for example, at my house, and I left it sitting on my dresser. I left it up there so I wouldn't forget it, and then I forgot. But this is actually a Narcan.
Oh.
And it's in a little, basically you could put it on a key ring, like if you had it on every fire truck or every police car on their key ring or whatever, hanging in their car. I mean, it's just, you open it up and there's a Narcan. So, I mean, it's a company that sells them. It might be something we want to spend our opioid monies on. Whenever I see something like that, when I'm walking through them, you know, when, like what ISAC will have, where they got all the people setting up the booths, you know, I see something like that, I grab it. And, I thought that was pretty interesting. So, that pretty much, I just wanted to catch up on some of that stuff just in case. I don't want it to get lost in there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on up at DC that really nobody knows about. The counties work hard to look after our folks because we feel like we get lost in the wash if we aren't. Yeah.
I wonder if that gal from.
So anyway, emergency medical services, there's some different things here for y'all to look through. Get any questions, ask me. So that's all I got.
We will.
Nothing else, entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ty, second by Gene. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
We stand adjourned.